So I thought I would do a third self-improvement weekend video, bring folks up to speed. I've finished one book last night that I've already talked about. I'm almost through with Women, Food, and God, and almost through with The Practicing Mind. I have about reached my limit on self-help books, at least self-help books about food issues, because frankly, number one, I guess I've been thinking about food issues for so long that I feel like it's not helpful anymore. And maybe that's because the weight isn't as helpful anymore. That that I am ready to begin work on the stuff that I've avoided by eating, either avoided by eating or avoided by dieting, because I am not out of the woods just because I'm losing weight. As a matter of fact, that is a sign that I need to keep working quite a bit, because fat folks focus on either being fat or the inability to not successfully diet, or actually dieting. And I've tried really hard, even though I talk about it here in the video and it seems like I'm focused on it. Honestly, I do the videos and maybe I plan my food out a little bit, but I don't think about food all that much, or dieting. I just kind of go about my life, and it's fine. I don't think anybody hanging out with me, other than the fact that I might make some like restaurant suggestions or veto a restaurant, I don't think anybody would know I'm, on a diet per se. But certainly nobody who saw the delicious omelet I ate earlier today would know. But the food issues, I'm trying to think. I would say one of the key things that I've been reminded about as I've read the Janine Roth book is that she says, it's not about the weight, but it's about the weight. Or it's not about both. She says both things. It's not about the food, but it's about the food. And that, I would say, that is probably the most authentic thing I've read so far. Although she's about to talk about a meditation, which maybe that did help too. I don't know. We'll find out. But I think for me, I'm ready to start thinking about those things that are not food. They're like the emotions that I've avoided having, the problems I've avoided trying to solve or to confront or to interact with. And some of the things that are issues for me are about relationships with other people. And so in some ways, it's not like I can go, okay, let me work through this childhood trauma. It's not. There's childhood trauma that unfortunately the adult me is then afraid to repeat that experience that's already happened. So, I avoid those same feelings, but the truth is I feel more prepared to deal with those. And so part of me is like, bring on the experiences that I need to deal with. On the other hand, real life is a lot more complicated than that, and you don't get like, here's a small little fraction of a difficult thing, Tara. Deal with this little thing. Instead, it's usually onslaught. But I think I'm making some good steps. The Practicing Mind is a really helpful book. Well, not really helpful. It's helpful in that as you eat day to day, that's a practice. As you make choices day to day, that's practice. Everything in life is a practice. And one of the key things that he talks about in the book is being in the present moment. And of course, that's in most self-help books. And I've heard it before, know it's true. We all hear it all the time. But I do think he has a few good ways of framing it that are helpful. One of them for me is thinking about, he's like, yeah, you have a goal, but you can't focus on that goal and be in the present moment, doing what needs doing. And he's absolutely right. And he says, he said, think of that goal as like a rudder. And so, you need to focus on moving the boat or the ship along a bit, and then use the rudder to, bring you back on track if you need to. As you get data in, like say your goal is an island way off there, you know, you're like, oh, I'm going a little bit to the left. I need to clearly go back that way. Anyway, to think of that goal as a rudder. And I really think I've been successful with that, or more successful than I have in the past. The scale is not, it's no longer the enemy. I don't consider it bad news or good news when I get on the scale. Sometimes the weight just hangs out. Sometimes I'll expect it to go down and it'll go up. But none of it's real drastic, and I have a big far off end of the year goal that I'm perfectly happy to adjust. I have end of the month goals for me, minus tomorrow, that I can adjust, or I suppose I could reevaluate, when that end of the month, for me it's the 25th, but it could be, why couldn't it be just the actual end of the month? Or do I just readjust all the subsequent ends of the month? I mean, who cares? For me, the point is I figured out a way of eating and a way of living my life that is livable. And as long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, then I can be in that moment making those choices and living this life. And the scale kind of gives me an idea of which way the rudder is pointing. But for the most part, I don't need to steer a whole lot right now. It's important that I check in so that I can make sure I'm not off course. But being in the present moment is really key. And it's reminded me of another self-help person that I found really helpful in the past is Byron Katie, Byron, and then Katie, I think. You can find, I think she's got a website. She may even have books. But honestly, watching her, she's got this thing called the 4 questions, and to me, I think it feels more like 5. But anyway, the 4 questions, and the key really is to watch videos. And she's got videos linked on her website, or if you just searched YouTube or something, you'd find plenty of videos of her doing the work, as we might call it. And it's also about being in the present moment, which, gosh darn it, repetition works, and we need to keep maybe reminding ourselves of that and learning that idea in a different way on a regular basis. In any case, I think I may have started with this. I'm kind of done with the food issue self-help books. In fact, I've sort of reached the point where I'm like, okay, maybe not so much with the self-help. But I am going to finish the books that I've started reading. I'm very interested in continuing to attend some SLAA meetings, because I really, that was a good group to be part of, and we had good sharing involved. It felt like a safe place to share key issues and just help me communicate more authentically, which is one of my weak areas. And yeah, I'm also gonna watch some stuff online today that is not self-help, but it's self-improvement weekend, so I'm actually going to attack some of the piles around my home that have been piles for far too long. And I'm going to sort them and put them away as I watch things, and so that will be self-improvementing. Also, I'm going to occasionally pet my cat, which is always good. And that's about it for now.